Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 6-year, 61st day, first video. And I'm going to call this video Building from the Inside Outward. Uh, I think it's going to be part of a little series, a playlist. I've got various things that I want to teach about or share about the way I build. And I think for the next month or so, I'll be doing that, I think. Lydia comes to mind. This is a woman I've never met, but she interviewed me. She's from the Arizona Republic. And she interviewed me. Who knows, maybe we'll someday see that interview. And one of the questions, at a distance, she interviewed me. She sent me the question, how do you decide what you're going to teach? How do you make your plan? I don't think I gave her a very good answer, but this is a case in point. It's when I have something to teach that I think is different enough from what you just find elsewhere. And at that point I begin to think about it, and I think that's the case, or something that should be clarified. I also, of course think of Shirley, my German friend. She gets so frustrated with me often because of the way I build and the way I do things, and wonders why don't you just build something and finish it, and etc. For lots of reasons why, and maybe it'll be a chance to explain some of this stuff to her. And Matthew also comes to mind. Now Matthew, I don't know if I've spoken about him before. He's a young man who's about to go to college. He's going to be a freshman in college within a month. And I think of him as my apprentice in a way, because he came to me and he wants to learn. And he works with me some. And over the next couple weeks before he goes to college, he's going to be working with me almost daily. And we're going to be doing a lot of building. I resolved that I would do with him if he's going to be here. And he's going to college to study sustainability. I talked him out of being an architect. He thought he wasn't sure. He thought maybe he wanted to be an architect. And oh boy, I told him, I hope I did right by him. I said, I thought about being an architect once too. But when I realized architects don't build houses or barns, I thought, oh. And then I introduced the word vernacular architecture, which I'll speak a little bit more about later. Anyway, so whether it's a series or not, see if I can explain this. The Hawkling, Shirley and her husband Thomas, they were here. I said, I build from the top down. That's the way you should build. And, they said, no, people always build from the bottom up. That's the only way you can build, is from the bottom up. How can you build from the top down? And I know that sounds crazy, but I didn't know how else to explain it. The top or the middle, down and up, both, but I build from the middle of something. And when I go down outside, I'm going to show you this. When I go down there today, I intend to level up two buildings. There's one building going this way, one building going this way. And I want them to match, to be level, so I can put the three-legged windmill on top. They're benches, they're not buildings. And they're not level. Well, I'm going to use the surface of the bench as my reference. Not the feet, not the legs. The legs are all on, some are down in water, some are over humps. And I can get away with it for one thing, although I say a three-legged windmill, there's a total of 16 wooden legs. Each bench has 8 wooden legs, so there's 16 spots. Anyway, I'm going to use the surface, and that'll be my reference. So I'll show you that. That ought to be easy enough to see. Or the other thing is sometimes I'll build, and it just seems to me the logical right way to do it. I'll build from the center outward, from the center toward the left or toward the right, or backward or forward. From a center point, I build out. I don't think I always do that. I'm just not sure. Now, as I encounter the situation, I'm going to go show you in this series that I'm talking about. Well, as I was dealing with this, I should say, versus a footer, or a footing it's called. You know, when you build a normal house with code and permits and all that kind of stuff, you pour a footer out of reinforced with steel concrete footer, and then there is your surface that you build from. But in a way, I could argue that also is not from the bottom up, because the surface of the footer is on rougher ground. You know, you frame it up with 1x6 or 2x6s or whatever. You frame it up, and so the surface of those 1x6s that the cement's going to be poured into, there becomes your reference, and you build up. So even there, I could say you're not actually on the bottom to get your reference, but my reference is often very much higher. It's usually not as high as the plate level at the ceiling level. It's usually the floor where you walk. It's usually that level. You know, as I was so anyway, this I do not do this. For one thing, I don't have that kind of money. I don't want to build that permanently, etc. I just don't do that. And in the old days, of course, they didn't. I use a massive sill, as massive as I can get. I use a big sill, and my buildings sort of float in a way. I maybe hadn't better get into that now. But anyway, in an airplane, as I was thinking about this, I don't know if it was Thomas that told me about this, but at one point I realized that an airplane is built, in a sense, from the very center outward. There's a thing called a datum line that goes right down through the center of an airplane. And every single part, bolt, nut, I think, every single part is laid off in reference to the datum line that goes right through there. So in a sense, an airplane is built the same way. Well, you know, I've begun this series, and we'll see where it goes. But and I am going to go outside and show you. I'll pick the highest spot, and then I'll shim up all the legs until I'm satisfied that that's a level spot. Okay, here's the cat. I'll say bye for now.